Okay, I guess we are live now. Let's maybe give it some time.
Yeah, give it a second.
You can just let us know. Can you hear us and see? Okay, so hello everyone. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about some exciting topic, which is rendering strategies in Next.js. My name is Jacob. I'm a software engineer at Blazity. I'm here today with Łukasz.
Hi guys, my name is Łukasz. I'm also a software engineer at Blazity.
And today we are going to show you some hands-on examples and some best practices in rendering strategies. But before we jump in, make sure that you download our ebook. The QR code should be right here.
It's right here, my finger.
Yeah, it's picked up even knowledge and it's free, so it's definitely worth to check it. And before we jump into the code, maybe we can open our cool graphic that we prepared today.
Yes, because I don't know about you, Jacob, but when I was first getting into Next.js, hearing all about these terms like CSR, SSR, SSG, ISR, PPR, even now, my head hurt a lot. It was overwhelming. So, maybe we can start like learning about these things. What do you think?
Yes, exactly. Like before we should start understanding how Next.js is structured. So we have the client side when we can use client components and of the web APIs, etc. And we also have a server side when we can use server components, server actions, route handlers, aka APIs. So this is very important to know, and then we can go to the rendering strategies. So in terms of any questions, just make sure to ask them in the chat and we will answer them. So yeah, maybe you can jump into the code and show some cool demo that we prepared.
Yeah, but it's also like maybe you can go back for a second, because I think it's like really important to understand that Next.js is like a full stack framework, right? So we have the client side and the server side. So the client side is now it's like client components. The server side it's server components, server actions, and the API routes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So yeah, now maybe we can show the demo that we prepared. So this is suspenseful shop this time. So we have a simple e-commerce application that is connected to a CMS for the data. And we have like a listing page here, a product page, a category page. So everything you would see in a normal e-commerce application, right?
Yes, exactly. And I think we can start by showing client-side rendering, which is the like most traditional way in React.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we can go to product page right now.
Okay, let's see
something cool.
The headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do we want to add here, like the client side? Because yeah, now we don't have any client side rendering, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Like all this page is server-side rendered, but we prepared some cool component that uses client-side data, and I think you can add it below the button.
Okay, great. So we prepared our favorite button, another one. So yeah, let's import that, and I will show you the code also. So you already see the little heart here.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, how does it differ, like between the server-side rendering and?
Yeah, first of all, in order to use like client-side rendering in Next.js, you need to mark your module, page, or component with use client directive.
Okay.
In order to use, for example, hooks or some events, because there is no use on client on-click events on a server side. So that's why you need to use client directive. But it's good to mention that even though you are using use client directive, it's not that this component is like client-side rendering, because in Next.js, everything is pre-rendered on a server side. And you can check it out by, for example, using view page source.
Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we can look for this this button. I guess we can search by the area label. Okay, so add to favorites. Where is it? Oh, here at the bottom.
Okay.
Okay.
So there is it. But as I mentioned, there is no on-click events, so no use hooks. But how this like button becomes interactive on a client side?
Okay, so what happens here is like first the server side renders the page, and then when it becomes rendered on the client, there is a process of hydration, right? So the click handlers and other stuff that make the page interactive, it gets like connected to the client.
Okay. First of all, it's good to mention that you should use client rendering only when you actually need it.
Okay.
So, for example, when you use some click events or web APIs or hooks, because like in Next.js, we should like render everything on a server side if it's possible, because it's so much faster and so much more efficient. So I guess we can like present that, like prove it that this button is rendered on a server side by, display some date here or something.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with that date. So let's see. To string. Okay. Let me refresh now. Okay, you see the issue?
Yeah, there is an
It's like
hydration
hydration.
error. Because there's a difference like between date on a server in some millisecond and then what is rendered on a client. So that's why you can see this error.
Okay.
So yeah, I guess we can delete it right now. And yeah, this is client-side rendering with pre-rendered on a server.
So now after hydration, it should be interactive, right? This button. So when I click it,
yeah, you should add it to the favorite.
Okay, great. Yeah, it works. I see.
Yeah, that works. You state works
Very
and
nice.
it works.
Okay, so this page is rendered on the server via SSR, and I guess we have a question from the chat. Are we going to explain how SSR works? Like really works?
Yeah, we are going to do it now. Because how is this page is server-side rendering, and if we try to build up our application.
Okay. So let me do pnpm build.
Okay, and this start. Application, like this page should become dynamic. I will explain it right now.
Okay, let's wait a second. Okay. So we have the product. Oh, yeah, it is dynamic. You're right.
Yeah, it is dynamic because like in Next.js, pages that we are, for example, fetches the data or we are not using any client, it's rendered as a static HTML. There's something called SSG that we are talking a bit more later, but this page needs to be dynamic because we are using params here.
Okay.
As you can see on the URL. So yeah.
Yeah, we are using the Slack, right? It's like the dynamic API, I guess. So when you use dynamic APIs with Next.js, it lets Next.js know that this page, yeah, it becomes dynamic. So cookies, I guess, headers, params, what else?
Yeah, everything that depends on like some runtime information that so needs to be like computed on demand on every request. So that's why this page becomes like dynamic, but it's not changed very often, right? So can we somehow like tell Next.js what the params will be? Because we actually know it. We have the database.
Yeah, I think there is something called generate static params. So let's see, export const generate static params. Exactly.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, the LLM was right this time. So, okay, what do we do here? We get all the products from the database or from the CMS in this case. And then we map over them to set the slug parameter. So the param that we use later on the page, right?
Exactly. And there is also a setting for like dynamic params. That is like
this one.
by default it's set to true, and we can set whether we would like to because for example we could have like 10 products and only generate params for 5 of them, and then we can set that do we want to like render on demand for other products that there is no search params for it on request, or we want to just set like a not found. So by default it's set to true. In our case, we don't need it because we basically render params for every single product.
Okay, I guess we have another question. If we wanted to render like 10,000 items, then is it better to like render it on the client or use server-side rendering and leave the user blank on a blank page?
I think you should never try to render 10K elements. And if so, you actually should use something like virtualization for it, or some pagination and stuff like that, which also could be like pre-rendered with static params for every like single page. And right now we can build the page again.
Oh, but I guess if you want to really render like 10,000 elements, then maybe you can use also streaming for that. So the user sees something before the data loads, right? So maybe you don't have to leave him on the blank page. Okay, so the app build again. And we see that the product, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We have rendered multiple pages for that.
Okay, so that static HTML that is now like served for every client, the same HTML for the products. That's very good because we don't need to wait and there's nothing need to be computed on a server side. But this is a static HTML. So like what's happened if someone, for example, change price? Like, do we need to rebuild entire application to do it? Like to see the difference? Or
I see what you mean. So for example, if we go to our CMS and we change the price, right? So for example, it's Black Friday, we can make the price higher before that.
Makes sense.
So we can publish changes right now. And what should happen? What should be? Oh, nothing happens.
Okay, that's bad. How we can like tell Next.js that this page, like this route, is outdated, and we need to revalidate it somehow?
Okay, so we prepared a revalidation route for that. So Next.js provides a revalidate path or revalidate tag function to really revalidate only the pages that you need. And this is called ISR, right?
Yeah, exactly. Incremental static revalidation. This is very powerful, and in real world case scenario, you would probably connect this webhook to your CMS. But in this case, we'll just simulate it by using HTTP. So you can go ahead and try to run this webhook.
So I guess, we would connect it to a CMS on a normal case, but here we'll simulate it. So we are revalidating this lag. Let's see. Okay, so it says that we are revalidated successfully. And let's refresh now. Okay. So I guess, it's rebuilt.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah, and like we're able to like revalidate the single page without like rebuilding the entire application, which is very good, I guess. So right now maybe we could jump back to our graphic. And so we cover already the client-side rendering, server-side rendering, static-side generation, right now incremental static regeneration, but there is something called partial pre-rendering. Right, Lucas? What is that?
Okay, yeah, there is, and it's like pretty new, I think. So what is PPR? It's like it connects the best of the two worlds, like static and dynamic, I think. So maybe it's best to show the example that we have prepared.
Okay, so let's go back to
Okay,
code.
so what I wanted to do is a feature that lets the user see a recommended section on the listing page. So basically how it works is the user goes to a product page and then a cookie gets set to save the last visited category, right? And then we want to show this section here in the recommended. So maybe let me do it. We have prepared a component that sets the visit category cookie. And then also we have prepared the section. So let me add it here.
Okay.
Nice.
That looks good.
And then, okay, so one thing now, I said we use cookies, right?
That's a
Okay,
good point.
so this is like part of the dynamic APIs.
Yeah, that's why be like listing page should become dynamic right now, because we are using cookies in this page. So let's see.
Yeah, that would make sense that the listing page changes, because before it was static. Oh yeah,
Yes.
I remembered correctly. Okay, so we still got 21, but now, yeah, that is dynamic. Okay,
That's
so
bad.
we
That's
lost
bad.
the statically generated part.
Yeah, and this page, like listing page, would be critical for the shop. So like we need to user to see some products instantly, and right now it's need to be computed in every request. So how we can do it in Next.js with partial pre-rendering?
Okay, so as I said, it's pretty new feature. So first of all, we need to set an experimental flag in the next config. And I think you have to use a canary version of Next.js for it to be possible even to use. So we set the flag to incremental. I think you can set it to true to like opt in for every page, but we'll opt in just for one.
Yeah, that
for
makes
now.
sense in this case.
Yes, because we'll use the dynamic APIs only on the listing page. So now we export the experimental PPR constant from here, set to true. Now, okay, is it all, or do we have to do anything else?
No, like right now we need to leave something called a hole and an island for Next.js to let him know that here is like some dynamic data that should be like rendered asynchronically, so we can use suspense for it.
Okay, great. Yeah, the cursor strikes back. So we import suspense and skeleton. Yeah, I guess we can do something fancy here. So now this leaves a hole for Next.js to render
Yes,
the
exactly.
dynamic. Okay, nice. So let
can you
me
build it?
do a build again. And I guess if you have any questions, you can ask them on the chat. We'll try to respond ASAP. Okay, I see the PPR was set, and we have the new icon here for the listing page. It's not dynamic anymore. It's what? Partial pre-rendered.
Partial pre-rendered. Yeah, that's a fancy word, partial pre-rendered. Let's see how it works.
Exactly. Okay, let's see. Okay, the listing page is here instantly, and the section loads in. Okay, let's see.
That's awesome.
We can go into the headphones.
Static, right?
Yeah.
We have static like product above, and then
okay, and interactivity still works. Yeah, of course, nothing changed here. Okay.
The recommendations.
Yeah, I see the recommendations changed. Again, the denim jacket, because I like it, so why not? And
that looks
yeah,
good.
the PPR is here. Nice.
Yeah,
nice. I like
that's
it.
Very nice. That's very nice. And maybe for better visualization, how it works, we can jump in here. That's basically our listing page. More explained. As you can see, our product list, so our entire page, is statically generated during the build, and then there is a hole, there's an island for Next.js for dynamic content that will be loaded asynchronically. That is powerful. What do you think, Łukasz?
Yeah, I think it is a really good technique to use in the future, because for now it's like experimental still, so maybe I would be careful with using it in production builds, but I like where this is going for sure.
Yeah, that's a hybrid approach, but yeah, that's very, very, very nice and very powerful. So, okay, I think we cover every single rendering strategy. Do you guys have
we had
any
the
question?
we had the CSR for the button. Okay, that was interactive. The server-side rendering was
on the product at first.
Okay, on the product. SSG then, because we knew what products we have in the data. CMS, ISR for also for the products, and PPR for the
For a listing
recommendations.
page. Yep.
Okay, so we covered everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that
So if
looks
you have
awesome.
any question about would streaming this kind of section negatively affect SEO surrounding its content?
Not really, because it's like still
Mhm.
server-side rendering, so SEO should be good here. In our case, like it was rendered based on the cookie. So when there is no cookie, so there's no recommended section. So it depends on your need and in your case. Different between PPR streaming, like streaming, or maybe Łukasz, you want to take it over?
Okay, streaming and PPR. So basically, partial pre-rendering is like generating a static page, right?
Exactly.
Like you have the physically the file, and then you streaming the content to the island, and then with streaming, it's server-side rendered. So for each request, you use Suspense to basically streaming the content.
Yeah, exactly. So like the PPR somehow uses streaming, because like in this hole is like the place that where the stream and the dynamic content go. So
It's like more modern approach to this.
exactly. Okay, so I think we don't have any more questions. So thank you guys very much for today. That was a pleasure. I'm very excited. Make sure to check out our free book. The QR code is still here, so
It is, yep, above my finger still.
okay. Also, make sure to subscribe this YouTube channel and on other social medias like LinkedIn or X. And yeah, thank you guys so much for today. It's Jacob and Łukasz.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.